Good morning and welcome to the Beth Manuel Virtual Kollel here in beautiful rainy Hudson, Wisconsin. And I'm Aaron, and we're going to be studying from Parashah Vayera today, which comes from Genesis chapter 18. So let me share my screen and we'll get started and do that. Okay, so here we are, chapter 18, Yod Chet of Sefer Breshit, Pasuk Aleph, first verse. Here's how it goes. Vayera elav Adonai be'elone mamre vehu yoshev petach ha'ohel kechom hayom. All right, let's take a look at each word. First word, Vayera. Okay, the root of this word is a little bit tricky to find. It's Resh, Aleph, Hey. Now, so as I've said before, every Hebrew verb, not every, but most Hebrew verbs have a 3-letter root. And finding that root is going to help you understand the meaning of the word. Now, when you have words that, and there are several words that have the 3rd letter of their root is a Hey. And that's a weak letter, and which means that in some verb forms it will disappear and it won't be found. And that's what happens in this case. That happens because of this conversive vav. And I've told you before, conversive vav is where you add a vav to the beginning of the verb, and then it reverses its apparent tense. And so it would look like it says something in what's like a future tense, but it's actually past tense in a case like this. And that the reason for that is that it's a form that expresses kind of a flowing, ongoing narrative. And so you'll find that often in the books of the Torah. So to add a little bit of complication, sometimes you'll have the Hey in the regular imperfect form, like a future form, but then it will disappear in the Vav conversive form, and that's what happened here. The Hey would disappear. So if you're looking at it in a regular, like, okay, so ultimately, well, look, let's do it this way. All right, this Yera by itself isn't correct. You have to put the Hey on the end to hear what it would be like if it was in a regular future tense. It would be Yera'eh, Yera'eh. And what that would mean is he will appear, because the root of this word Resh Aleph Hey is to see, but then it's in this it's a nifal form. Nifal means to have something happen to you. So it's in a passive voice. So to be seen is to appear, right? So anyway, that's how this word ends up meaning he appeared, because the vav reverses the tense, and it's the nifal passive form of to be seen, or to be seen. So he appeared. All right. So moving on from there, elav is this. This is not correct here. It's this word el, which is a preposition that just means to or toward, and then the suffix on the end means him. So, and he appeared to him, right? He appeared to him, and now we've got the subject of this sentence, and this is the name of God. So God appeared to him, and the him we're talking about goes back to here to Abraham and so on. So God appeared to Abraham. Be'elone mamre. Okay, so this is okay, alon here, this word alon means a tree. It's like a big sturdy tree. I don't know, a terebinth, I think we sometimes see it translated. I'm not sure exactly of what species, but it's a big sturdy tree. And then the plural would be alonim or elonim. And but what as you can see, it's elone. So the im changed to a, and that tells us that we're in a construct state, smichut state, which means that we're taking one noun and describing another noun. So we can think of it as the elonim of, the trees of. Okay, and trees of what? And it's this word mamre, which is the name of a place or a person. So, and I think we run into that person's name elsewhere in the Torah. So b here, I didn't get to that as the preposition that basically it means in or with. In this case, it means at or something like that. So elone mamre is trees of Mamre, and sometimes I see it translated plains, and that might also be another translation. I'm not sure. Now that I think of it, and I'm doing this unrehearsed as always, so I don't know off the top of my head how this word. It's not the normal word that is used for a plain, but it could very well be. So the Lord appeared to Abraham at Elone Mamre, Vehu, and he. So word who means he. Yoshev, and so here we have the word. The root means to sit. So if you were to say he sat, it would be yashav. He sat or he settled. It can be like literally the posture of sitting. Or it can mean to live somewhere or to settle somewhere. But so yashav means he sat. Here it's in this participle form, yoshev, which basically in modern Hebrew, that's how we express a present tense. But in biblical Hebrew, it's not so much a present tense as it is really without any time description at all. It's just kind of describing what a person does. It's kind of like saying he's a writer. It doesn't mean he's writing right now or that he's written in the past or he will write in the future. That's just he's characterized by that action. And that's what a participle tends to do in Hebrew. So Yoshev with that O, A vowel pattern is that he's just, so it's just kind of describing this ongoing, he's sitting. Okay, so Vehu Yoshev, and there's something about this I would like to describe a little bit later once we get all the words out. Petach. Petach is the entrance. It's a noun. It means the doorway, opening. It's related to the verb that means to open, liftoach or patach, is to open. But this is an opening, the door. And ha-ohel. Ohel means tent. And so ha-ohel, ha is the way that you say the. So the tent. And so these two words are in smichut. They're in a construct. So petach ha-ohel, you'd add an of in between, the opening of the tent. And since this has a the, then this also has a the. And that's the way that the construct state works. So you wouldn't say ha petach ha-ohel. It's only the last word in the construct chain that would have the in it. So petach ha-ohel automatically means the doorway or the opening of the tent. Okay. And make sure you're stressing both of these words as you're reading them on the first syllable. Petach ha-ohel. I guess that's not the first syllable of this whole word, but the word is ohel. Ohel is where you stress that. And then kechom hayom. All right. So again, we have another pair of words in a construct state in smichut. But chom is heat. Like if we say ham, that means hot. In modern Hebrew, if you wanted to say that you feel hot, you'd say chamli, I am hot, or hot is to me. So it is hot to me, or something like that. And so ke is a preposition that can mean like, as, or whatever, but it also can describe at a time. And that seems what's going on right now at the time of the heat. And then hayom means the day. Yom is the word for day. day. Like it can mean day in a lot of different senses, but we're talking, I think, just in the most plain sense of the word. And then making it the day. And so chom hayom is heat of the day. So, and so k meaning as, or at that time, at the time of, the heat of the day. Okay, so basically the Lord appeared to him at Alone Mamre, and he sits at the entrance. There's no, notice the there's actually no preposition here, and in a way, perhaps we should see this as a triple construct chain, because Yoshev as a I said it's a, I think we think of it like a verb, but a participle really behaves a lot more like a noun. Like I said, writer as an example. A writer is a noun. So he's sitter. And so we might, I think maybe that's the way that we should understand the grammar here. So, and he, the sitter, the one sitting at the tent of the, or the one sitting at the opening of the tent, the heat of the day. That could be what's going on. And that would explain why there's no preposition in front of that. Why it doesn't say he is sitting at, because it's really more a sitter of. And so why, my question here, based on what we've learned before, is why would it not say Vayeshev? That would be like this, because you can see all these conversive verbs, and that's just the way that stories go in Hebrew. Over and over again, conversive verbs. And so this one is strange. Vehu Yoshev. Why is it not Vayeshev Petach Ohel Bechom Hayom? Well, for one thing, because we're switching, we're saying, well, actually, okay, we can't say that it's because we're switching subjects, because here we have Hashem is the subject, God is the subject, and then here we're talking about Abraham being the subject. So we do switch subjects here. So that isn't quite the issue. But I think what we're trying to do is not so much just continue on with the narrative. God appeared to him, and so he sat. It wasn't like that. It's describing the setting. It backs up a little bit and says, here's what was going on at the time. And it transcends the specific timing of the narrative by using this participle form. And we can say, it's almost as if to say, God appeared to him at El Oni Mamre while he had been or was sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. So it's not so much just going on with the narrative. That's what's going on there. I've got a couple of minutes just to I'll just see how far we get with this. Here's verse 2. Vayisa einav vayar vehine shlosha anashim nitzavim alav vayar vayarotz likratam mipetach haohel vayishtachu arza. All right, so vayisa is the conversive form of, the root is nun sin aleph, nun sin aleph, and the nun also is a weak letter. It drops off. It means to lift up, right? So, and he lifted up. Einav is his eyes, because ayin is eye, and then it's got the av, his type of suffix. It's the same av that's in this, except this is on a preposition, so it's more him. But here on a noun, it's his. So he lifted his eyes, which is funny because, so now we're talking about who being Avraham. Avraham lifted his eyes. Okay, so Vayar. So you can see, actually, it looks like it's spelled the same as Vayera, but the vowels are different. Same root, verbal root, Resh Aleph He, except now we're just in the simple form to see, right? So now it's and he saw rather than and he was seen. Okay, vehine. Oh, fun word. Hine means behold. We translate it. I'm trying to think of a more modern translation. We have something like, guess what? Check it out. Hey, look. Something like that. It's more of an interjection that you just say when you want to show someone something or tell someone something important. We don't have a really good word like that in our vocabulary in modern English. Shlosha anashim. So shlosha means three, and anashim is men. Looks like you get used to this with Hebrew numbers, but it looks feminine, even though the masculine numbers end up looking feminine. The on the end looks like a feminine ending, but that's what you use with masculine. So shlosha anashim. Anashim is the plural of ish. Ish is man. Anashim is men. Usually we're talking about, when we talk about a man, we're talking about somebody who's in contrast to a woman, in contrast to a child, somebody who's grown, and male. So possibly married. But in this case, it's a little bit different because these are angels, as we find out later. Nitzavim is standing. So it comes from this root, nun tzadi beit. Although I'm not, it's very frequently in this nifal form, and I think that might be what's going on here. And so this noon, weirdly enough, is not the noon of the root. It's the noon of the root drops off, and then a new noon is added for the verb form, if I remember right. So it's standing, but it's not. It's like to be stationed somewhere, to be in position. And it's there's a different word. You might know the word amad, or like the amidah is to stand up. It means to stop. That means more like to stop moving and to be in an upright position. Whereas nitzavim is like to be standing your ground, to be in position, like in a strategic position. So alav, okay, this is the word al, which means on or above, and then it's that same suffix of, meaning him. So standing over him, and we could also say at. It would be weird to try to imagine. I mean, he lifts his eyes, so he's looking up, but then he sees these guys standing over him, at him. I think we're saying by him. Doesn't necessarily mean way up high. Let's continue. Vayarotz likratam. So he saw the same as we said. So this is actually a key phrase in what goes on with Abraham a lot. A lot of seeing happens with Abraham. So he saw them, I suppose. Vayarotz. So the root is roots, which means to run, and then and so you heard me say vayarotz. This is an O sound because it's kamatz katan. Sometimes that T-shaped vowel kamatz makes an O sound, and that's when it's in a closed syllable, where it ends with a consonant, and it's not a stressed syllable because the ya is a stressed syllable here, as you can tell by that mark, that cannellation mark. So he ran likratam. Okay, so the root of this is kara, and in this case it means to greet. So likrat means to greet. It can mean to call or to read, but it also can mean to greet. And then the on the end means them. It's the suffix for them. So likratam, to greet them. He ran to greet them. So they must have been standing near, but not too near, right? Mi petach. So petach we already established from up here is the opening, and mi means from. And so petach ha'ohel we already talked about is the opening of the tent. So from the opening of the tent. Vayishtachu. So root of this you can see is shacha. Right? It's surprising. Where is that tav coming from? But it comes from this hitpael, and I don't think I have time to get into it. But often, what will happen is if you have a sheen at the beginning of the va of the verbal root, in this particular form, a tav will get stuck after the sheen instead of, whereas in others it will get stuck before. And so that's what happens. It's part of the tav ends up being actually part of the verb form, and so it means to bow down. And really, it's just describing a posture of humility. Arza. Okay, arza is interesting because it's like the word eretz. Eretz means land, right, or the ground, or the earth. It can mean the land of Israel, whatever. It can mean a country, but basically, we're talking about the ground, right? And why is it arza and not eretz? Well, the hey on the ending is a directional hey. It's describing direction of movement. Okay, so you can add a on the end of anything and make it into a direction of movement. So if we want to say bayit is a house, so habayit is the house or home. Habaita ends up meaning homeward or to home, and so eretz means the land. Arza means to the ground, to the ground. So, and he bowed down to the ground, in the direction of the ground. So there you go. We managed to go through that one rather quickly. Hopefully it was helpful. And so that's the beginning of Parashat Vayera. And then I hope you have a great week, and God willing, we'll continue next week.